Going into our losers finals match between Clan and Team Riderhood on Clash at Black Cliff. One of these teams will be moving on to face Cactus Couples 2000 in the grand finals, and the other will be eliminated from the event. First off, for Clan, we have the Charles Mingus, a Mobula piloted by Nisi's Mustache, Hades Center, and paired with Quad Banshee, the all-range specialist, and their ally, the Clan Cake, piloted by Steamy Noodle. It is a Mercury Mobula, 2 Artemis on either side with a light flak and flare gun. No real close range on this ship. Their opponents, Team Riderhood, we have the Fancy Knight, piloted by D Dimentio, Mercury Center Mobula, Artemis on the lower right, lower left Gatling, far right Gatling, and a Banshee. So, dual Gat, Banshee, Artemis, Mercury. Another interesting combination of guns from Dimentio. Their partner is the Armageddon's Edge, piloted by Tri-V. This is the Brotherhood half of this collaboration team. Mobula, Mercury in the center, Hades like Carronade on the lower deck, and dual Artemis for the outer wings. Charles Mingus, the first to lose hull armor in this long-range battle of Mobulas. These ships all have a ton of long-range firepower. And I do wonder if anybody's going to choose to close the distance here. Clan Cake is the only Mobula in this match who has chosen to bring no close-range weaponry. So they're absolutely going to be letting their ally, the Charles Mingus, hold point here. Unfortunately for them, Charles Mingus is taking a lot more damage than their opponents are already losing their permanent health. The dual Mercury of Team Riderhood doing a great job shredding the Mingus's whole armor. And they're already down to 50% health. The Banshees have been doing an okay job putting damage onto blue team's balloons, however. I think that is one of the things that Nietzsche's Mustache, the Clan pilot, was counting on with this Quad Banshee Mobula build. By utilizing the fire secondary damage of the Banshee and damaging their opponent's balloons, that reduces the vertical acceleration the balloon damage does, so makes it a lot more difficulty. You see Armageddon's Edge here down to about 20% balloon health, and he's having a lot of difficulty dodging these shots. One of the Mobula's greatest assets is his upwards and downwards vertical acceleration, and it uses that to dodge, which is having a lot of difficulty doing here. And that means the Armageddon's Edge is going to be pushed back, forcing the Fancy Knight to be the point ship here. Fancy Knight, I believe, only has 2. I guess they do have that Banshee. But they only have the solo Artemis, so they are not the most powerful long-range ship in this match. Definitely going to be relying on their ally to have that extra disabling power. And this is something we haven't seen in a long time, actually. It used to be a lot more common, but these matches that are predicated almost entirely on gunner accuracy, on sniping mechanics. We used to see this a lot in almost every Guns of Icarus tournament. This game, the metagame used to be very defensive, and the long-range weapons used to be very powerful. We saw a lot of Lumberjacks, a lot of Hades, Artemis, a lot of Mercuries. But I feel like particularly with this year, with 2015, teams have been moving more towards close-range brawling team compositions overall. So we don't see that many matches like this, but we do have a lot of damage. 2 of these Mobulas are heavily damaged, which represents how the teams are choosing to focus fire. Charles Mingus being the target of Team Riderhood, with Armageddon's Edge conversely being the target of Clan, at least until the Fancy Knight moves forward out of position and gets dual focused down very quickly. And that's I think one of the differences between these with the Mobula being the more powerful, or the preferred long range weapon is, or preferred long range ship, is that it has a lot more DPS than some of the other long range vessels. So even though we have a we have a period where the teams are kind of poking at each other from across the map, once one target gets zoned in on, you have the opportunity for very fast kills. And now with Armageddon's Edge going down, Fancy Knight has chosen a very unfortunate point to charge in here, choosing the close spawn. And I imagine he's going to be, considering he brought dual Gatling, I think this is partially a ramming build. And unfortunately for him, Clan Cake doing a good job dodging out. He gets a little bit of an upward bump, but now his rear is facing the enemy team, and this is a bad spot for Dementio and the Fancy Knight. He was fiending for that ram, man. I mean, I should have expected it with a dual Gatling, to be honest. One thing that not everybody knows is that the Mobula can be an extremely potent ramming ship. Its wide profile and fast vertical acceleration makes it very difficult to dodge with like hydrogen or shoot vent, because it can match you very quickly. But the one ship that is able to dodge it fairly effectively is an opposing Mobula. Those rams are definitely not guaranteed. Looks like Charles Mingus is going to be going toe-to-toe with the Fancy Knight, and I'm not sure that's the best decision, considering the Charles Mingus already so heavily damaged, and they will go down here. First point on the board for Team Riderhood, and that's unfortunately going to leave Clan Cake all alone here. And barring a fast kill from them on Armageddon's Edge, I think this is going to be a second point for Blue. Clan Cake going to be dropping down. Oh, oh jeez. Going to be dropping down, trying to stay out of the arcs, but just catching the corner of this oil derrick, and that's actually that's the second kill we've seen from a blatant biffed piloting maneuver today. But that killing the ship from full health is a little bit of a surprise. That Mobula has a weird hitbox. You know, the balloon on the bottom leads to some weird interactions when you bump into certain buildings. And he was certainly trying to just stay out of the gun arcs long enough for his ally to rejoin him, but not working out. And we do have a red ship already spotted. They've taken a far spawn here. Charles Mingus is repositioning. Red team currently does have a defensive advantage. They have some nice terrain cover. Blue team, conversely, is out in the open, so given the current team positioning, this should work out pretty well for Clan. Armageddon's Edge first to break armor. They're taking quite a bit of damage here, down to about 60% health. Some of the Hades going wide. But that's fine. Red team not taking too much damage in return. Armageddon's Edge just focused on getting out of the gun arcs here. His balloon is hurting as well. And Fancy Knight's backing out as well. I think they maybe want to try to reset this fight. Oh, Fancy Knight, you gotta check your rear view mirror, man. Running into some random crap on this map. And bumping his ally too. That is one of the few weaknesses of the Mobula, is that as a pilot, Let me actually see if I can... Yeah. As a pilot, you have very poor visibility behind you, so backing up can be a little perilous on this very wide ship. But blue team choosing to put a little more distance between them. Charles Mingus, the only ship in this game using Hades, so they're going to have a little difficulty keeping up with the accuracy of the dual Merc at this range. So I think that is why Team Riderhood has decided to put a little bit of distance between them and their opponents. And so, in Clan realizing this as well, has abandoned their defensive cover and has moved forward in the hopes that this will improve their Hades accuracy. And currently it's not really. Part of the problem here is this cloud cover. Oh, I'm not sure what. I guess that was a light flak that killed Armageddon's Edge there. Caught me by surprise a little bit. Now Fancy Knight is in a bad situation. He needs to do what he can to disengage. I'm surprised he's not. Does he not have? He does not have. Or no, he does. Does have kerosene. You gotta burn the hell out of here, man. You do not want to go down to match point against Clan, especially in these very attrition-based sniper matches. It can be very difficult to mount a comeback. Armageddon's Edge has taken a fairly close spawn. He could choose to rejoin if he wants. The question is, do Team Riderhood, do they think they can save the Fancy Knight here? There's a lot of incoming damage, but Fancy Knight, well, I was going to say Fancy Knight does still have hull armor. That is no longer true. And Fancy Knight actually carosening forward. I think he wants to go for a last-ditch ram on the Charles Mingus. Unfortunately losing his balloon before they're able to make contact. And Clan Cake going to finish them off, pick up that kill. Can the Armageddon's Edge finish what the Fancy Knight started? They really need to get this kill here. They do not want to be stuck in a 1v2 situation. Charles Mingus, balloon is down, armor is down. Carronade Flamer coming into effect. I don't think they can be backing off here. I think they need to commit to the Rams. I think they need the impact damage to get the kill. And now that they've put some distance between them and their target, I don't think they're going to be able to finish off the Charles Mingus, and I think they're just going to get dual focus here. But Fancy Knight has spawned back in. Maybe they could turn the tide in favor of Team Riderhood. Fancy Knight engaging dual Gatlings here on the Clan Cake. Interesting enough, the farther of the two targets. Clan Cake dodging upwards. It looks like this is a perfect trajectory for the Fancy Knight to hit them and destroy them. Just run them over. They dodged a little too early, giving the Fancy Knight time to match the altitude. And now Charles Mingus is left all alone. But Armageddon's Edge has no balloon. They have no hull armor, and they're crashing into the pipe. Just barely able to dodge it. They're staying alive here. And I think that Charles Mingus is going to be the first of these two ships to go down. Fancy Knight, again, closing the distance. He wants this ram, but I don't think he's going to need it here. I think they're going to be able to finish it off with the Gatlings and the flamethrowers. A situation which, for any other team, probably would have resulted in meat grinding Team Riderhood, turning the tide of the fight. Spawning in, charging directly in. That just excellent ram. The perfect angle from the Fancy Knight. And the Banshees from the Charles Mingus, they've been doing some work, that Hades quad Banshee loadout, but just it's very disruptive for the balloon, but they haven't been able to get the fast kills in the same way that Team Riderhood has. And now both teams on match point. I think we probably have 7 or 8 minutes left on the timer. Both teams, most of the ships are close to full health. Armageddon's Edge has a little bit of damage on them, but not too bad. The situation is totally reset with the teams on opposite sides of the map, so this could absolutely go either way. A lot of this is going to come down to how the fight starts if we go into another long range style of fight with the teams kind of poking at each other, or if Fancy Knight, if they're going to try to go for another close range engagement and try to get a fast kill with a ram, because either one of these teams only needs to focus down a single target and the match is going to be over. There's a lot at stake here. Clan has moved into center map, whereas Team Riderhood, on the other hand, hugging the map edge as tightly as possible. I'm actually trying to back up here, and this right here is the edge of the map. So they are their positioning is as conservative as you could possibly play it, as far from the center of the map as possible. And I think perhaps the expectation from Team Riderhood is that Clan is going to be holding a defensive position in their spawn. Which, if that were the case, you know, they would be right around these clouds. But that is not the case, so they will find nothing. And perhaps at that point, take a more aggressive stance towards center map, now that the new Clan has left their spawn zone. Clan, on the other hand, has trekked all the way across the Black Cliff on the opposite side, so there's going to be a little bit of a downtime going back into a spotting phase. And I think Team Riderhood knows where Clan potentially is. They have good visibility of center map, and they don't see them, so they know, okay, they must be on our side of the map, on the other side of the cliff. And Fancy Knight continuing to hold the forward position, of course. He does have those long-range weapons, but he can transition into brawling very quickly. And Clan looks a little lost here. I don't think they know where blue team's going to be, but they do now, because the spot's going down for both sides. And here comes the Mercuries from Team Riderhoods. I don't think they can commit just yet. There's too much rocky terrain in the way. They're not going to be able to get consistent sniper arcs, so they're going to have to reposition here. And the Fancy Knight's going to be the first to be exposed, and it looks like he wants to close the distance. He wants to go for that close range fight. I don't know if this is the best decision though, because they have no ally. The ally's still out of position, and they're going to be dual focused by red team. They have managed to get into Gatling range, but the Fancy Knight, even if they go for that ram, they need whole armor to be able to perform it, and taking the damage from the two red ships, I'm not sure they're going to be able to have any whole armor at the moment that they need it. Already taking a lot of damage from these Banshees, from the Artemis, and he's so heavily damaged. He's still going for that ram. He's still trying to close the distance, and that's not a great decision from Dementio. He really wanted to win the game in that dramatic fashion, but just not working out, exposing himself way before his ally was ready, and taking the full force of the enemy team. He was not prepared to take that ram. He took way too much damage, and that's going to be a 5-4 victory for Clan, a very close game. Team Riderhood eliminated from the match. Clan will be moving on to face Cactus Couples in the grand finals.